So on this beautiful summer, July 14th day, behind me is Independence Hall. Okay, Independence Hall, as we were going to talk about a lot this year, is the place where Franklin and Adams and Jefferson and other representatives like Dickinson and Morris and John Hancock gathered in 1775 and eventually in 1776 to, create this nation that we call, our republic. Now, the first Continental Congress did not meet here. They actually met at Carpenter's Hall, which is about a couple blocks up the street here, okay? But for the Second Continental Congress, at the same time as Second Continental Congress is actually meeting, the first shots heard around the world happened in Massachusetts, okay? So this association, and actually with those battles, and even with the end of the Boston Tea Party, the right to assembly was pretty much negated by the British Parliament. And so to meet under terms of a Congress was actually treasonous. So that group of brave men met here in 1775 and debated the idea of independence and being an independent nation, thanks to the help of Thomas Paine and thanks to the help of other delegates. Came together and formed what we now have been running for a little over 220 years.
In this room, this is where the Declaration of Independence was debated and signed. But not only that, this is also the room where the Articles of Confederation were also signed, as well as the Constitution. So this room is important for three different reasons in our government.
We will know the story of Independence Hall, 1776, also signing not only the Declaration, but the Articles of Confederation, and also the Constitution eventually. But what we don't know is that when Congress starts, sorry, my fingers there, that was the building where Congress would meet. That's Congress Hall.
This room is the lower house, which is the first floor of the building, and this is where the House of Representatives met. So if you see that doorway, just real quickly as I was scanning across this room, that doorway is where the transition of power from George Washington to John Adams took place. And George Washington wanted to make sure that the transfer of power was peaceful. And so at the end of it, when George Washington handed it over to Adams, the presidency, then the three of them, Jefferson, Adams, and Washington, walked out that front door that's over there. But this is the lower house, the House of Representatives. Upstairs in Congress Hall is where the Senate meets, the upper house. And at the time, there was only 16 states, so you'll notice there's only 32 desks. That's because 2 senators per state.
So also part of this whole tour of Philadelphia, and in the shadows of Independence Hall, actually I should say in the background is Independence Hall, stand these 3 walls. Now back in ratification of the Constitution, this was the capital of the United States after the Constitution was signed into law. So what stands behind me in a representation of these 3 walls, and some of the video I'm showing you as well, is where the president lived. Okay, so this is kind of, we'll call it an early White House, but in actuality it wasn't white, it was brick. So this is where the president would live, and he's in the shadows of Congress Hall, which is, again, a direct path back that way, and right next to that is Independence Hall, where they would assemble in the 1760s, 1770s. Okay, so this was where the president lived, or at least a replication of where the president would live, where the house stood here in Philadelphia.
This picture is a picture of the courtyard outside Independence Hall. When the Declaration of Independence was signed, it was read to the public here. I'm ending this video with a picture of Carpenter's Hall. This is where the first Continental Congress actually met. Thank you for your attention.